Jake's shuttle screamed through Illyria's atmosphere like a dying star, emergency klaxons wailing as the starboard thruster exploded in a shower of sparks. He wrestled with the controls, sweat dripping down his face as the verdant planet surface rushed up to meet him. "Come on, baby." Just a little farther. The impact threw him against his restraints hard enough to see stars. Metal shrieked, systems died, and then silence. Jake groaned, fumbling with his harness release. His flight suit hung in scorched tatters, the thermal protection reduced to ash by the atmospheric burn and the electrical fire that had consumed the cabin. He stumbled from the wreckage into air that smelled of exotic flowers and mineral-rich steam. Through the haze, he realized he'd crashed directly into some kind of sacred grove. Ornate stone pillars surrounded, bubbling hot springs that glowed with bioluminescent algae, beautiful and absolutely off-limits. Judging by the ceremonial markers. "Oh, this is bad," Jake muttered, just as his ruined suit fell completely apart, leaving him standing there in nothing but his dignity, which was precisely when they appeared. 5 warriors materialized from the mist like avenging goddesses, their navy blue skin shimmering with an otherworldly luminescence. Energy spears crackling with violet lightning pointed directly at his chest. Each woman stood nearly 6 feet tall, lithe and powerful, their blonde hair braided with crystalline beads that chimed softly with each movement. They wore minimal armor, decorative breastplates, and flowing battle skirts that somehow managed to be both practical and devastating. The one in front, clearly the leader, had eyes like molten amber and carried herself with unmistakable royal authority. She raised her spear, lips parted to issue what was undoubtedly a death sentence. Then she froze. Her amber eyes went wide, tracking down his body with an expression Jake recognized instantly, shock mixed with something far more interesting. Her spear tip wavered. "Monster!" One of the other warriors shrieked, though her voice cracked halfway through. "Abomination! He's unnatural." Another finished, but she wasn't looking away either. The leader, her cheeks darkening to a deep indigo that Jake guessed was the Illyrian version of blushing, tried to regain control. "Avert your eyes, sisters. This creature violates the sacred." But she was the one staring hardest, her gaze fixed with scientific fascination. And something else entirely. Jake assessed his situation. 5 armed, gorgeous alien women who'd never apparently seen a naked male before. And him with nothing but his charm and a glowing leaf he'd just spotted nearby. He grabbed the leaf, holding it strategically while flashing his most disarming smile. "Ladies, I know I'm a sight, but you're gonna make a guy blush. I'm Jake, by the way, human, friendly, and really hoping we can talk about this before the stabbing part." The leader's spear dipped another inch as her eyes met his. Curiosity warring with duty in those amber depths. Princess Lyra prided herself on discipline. She'd trained since childhood to be the perfect warrior, emotionless, focused, deadly. Yet here she stood, unable to tear her eyes away from the strange alien male who smiled at her like they were meeting at a social gathering instead of a potential execution. "Secure the prisoner," she commanded, her voice shakier than she'd like. "And someone find him proper covering before." "Before what, Your Highness?" the human asked, adjusting his inadequate leaf. His muscles shifted beneath scarred skin. And Lyra found herself analyzing the way human anatomy differed from Illyrian males, the broader shoulders, the defined abdomen, the confident way he stood despite being completely vulnerable. "Stop looking before you compromise the sanctity of the royal springs," she snapped, perhaps too forcefully. Her second-in-command, Valara, approached with a ceremonial cloak, but couldn't resist a lingering glance. "He's so different. Is that normal for his species? That build? That everything?" Jake had the audacity to wink. Standard issue human male, ladies. Though I've been told I take pretty good care of myself. Lyra L. snatched the cloak and thrust it at him, careful to maintain distance while simultaneously curse her treacherous eyes watching, as he wrapped it around his waist with casual grace. His chest remained bare, revealing scars that told stories of previous dangers survived. You trespass on sacred ground, Lyra L. stated, trying to reclaim her authority. The penalty is death. Seems harsh for an accident. He met her gaze steadily, no fear in his brown eyes. Though I'm hoping we can negotiate. Maybe over dinner? You could ask me all those questions I can see you dying to know. Her blush deepened. I have no questions for you, human. Really? Because you've been staring at my chest for the past 3 minutes. His smile turned playful. Not that I mind. I'm just saying, if you're curious about humans, talking is usually more informative than ogling. I am not. Lyra L. caught herself, aware her warriors were watching their normally composed princess fluster like an untrained cadet. She straightened, summoning her coldest tone. Take him to the palace. The queen will decide his fate. As they marched him through the forest, Lyra L. walked behind, absolutely not noticing how the cloak hung low on his hips, or how his back muscles moved beneath that strange, smooth skin, or how he occasionally glanced back at her with that infuriating smile. So, Jake said conversationally, is it all Illyrian women who've never seen a guy, or just you warriors? Because that seems like valuable cultural context for someone trying not to get executed. Valara giggled, actually giggled before catching Lyra L's glare. Silence. Prisoner, Lyra L. ordered, even as her mind raced with questions she'd never dared ask before. Questions about human bodies, human customs, and why this particular human made her feel things no warrior should feel, things that had nothing to do with duty. The interrogation chamber proved less intimidating than Jake expected, more like a sophisticated sitting room with crystalline walls that pulsed with soft light. Lyra L. sat across from him, her 4 warriors stationed at the doors, all trying very hard to look professional while sneaking glances. Explain your presence, Lyra L. demanded, tablet in hand for official documentation. And your biology. Jake raised an eyebrow. My biology? That's not usually where interrogations start. Answer the question. But her curiosity leaked through her stern facade as her eyes flickered to his still bare chest. Humans are a binary species, male and female. We reproduce naturally through, he paused at her suddenly intense attention, through physical intimacy. It's actually pretty enjoyable, which is probably why we've spread across so many planets. The room fell silent except for the soft chiming of shocked crystal beads. Enjoyable? Valara whispered. But the texts say procreation is a sacred duty, performed only in clinical. No wonder you've all been staring, Jake interrupted gently. Illyrian males aren't interested in their partners? Lyra L.'s indigo blush returned full force. Our males are fragile, smaller. They live separately, visit only for scientific conception. They certainly don't look like... She gestured vaguely at all of him. So you've literally never seen a male body built like mine? Jake leaned forward and Lyra L's breath caught. Never felt attracted to someone? Never wanted to touch, to explore, to... Enough. Lyra L stood abruptly, her composed mask cracking. This is inappropriate. You're a prisoner, not... We can't. Jake rose too, moving slowly, giving her every chance to retreat. Can't what, Lyra L? Can't admit you're curious? Can't acknowledge that maybe humans do some things differently better? You're arrogant, she breathed, but didn't step back when he came closer. I'm honest. His voice dropped lower. And I think you're magnificent. Strong, intelligent, beautiful. That navy blue skin, those amber eyes, you're stunning. And if Illyrian males haven't told you that every single day, they're idiots. Her hand rose involuntarily to his chest, fingers trembling as they touched human warmth for the first time. His skin was different, warmer, with subtle texture her scientific texts had never described. His heartbeat thundered beneath her palm, steady and alive. "This is," she whispered. "I shouldn't, but you want to." His hand covered hers, pressing it firmer against his chest. "Ask me, whatever you're dying to know. Does it?" She swallowed hard. "When you're with someone, does it truly bring pleasure? Not just duty?" Lyrael, with the right person, it's everything. Alarm shattered the moment. Violent, urgent. Valara burst through the door. "Your Highness, the Krathax armada is attacking. They're landing in the northern provinces." Lyrael pulled away, warrior training reasserting itself. But as she armed herself, she looked back at Jake with something new burning in her eyes. "Come with us, human. Let's see what you're capable of." Battle transformed Jake from curious novelty to invaluable ally. While the Illyrian warriors fought with elegant precision, Jake brought raw human aggression, improvised weapons, tactical thinking honed on a dozen worlds, and the sheer stubborn refusal to die that had made humanity legendary across the galaxy. He'd armed himself with fallen Krathax weaponry, the ceremonial cloak abandoned in favor of mobility. Fighting alongside Lyrael felt natural. She anticipated his moves, covered his weaknesses, moved with him like they'd trained together for years instead of hours. "Behind you!" Lyrael spun, her energy spear obliterating the Krathax soldier who'd targeted Jake's exposed back. "Appreciated." He grabbed her waist, yanking her down as plasma fire seared overhead, then took out the shooter with a perfectly thrown blade. "We make a good team, Princess." Her amber eyes blazed with adrenaline and something deeper. "You fight well for someone who crashes his ships." "Hey, I landed that ship exactly where I needed to." He flashed that insufferable grin even as he reloaded. "Met you, didn't I?" A Krathax commander charged Lyrael from her blind side. Jake didn't think. He simply moved, intercepting the massive alien and going down hard. They rolled across scorched earth, Jake using every dirty trick he'd learned in bars across 3 sectors. When Lyrael's spear finally ended the threat, Jake lay on his back, bruised and bleeding from a gash across his shoulder. "Foolish human." She knelt beside him, hands hovering over his wound. "You could have been killed." "But I wasn't." He caught her wrist. "Because you've got my back. Just like I've got yours." The battle raged around them, but in that moment, her fingers traced the edges of his wound with unexpected gentleness. "You bleed red. Like fire. And you bleed silver. Like starlight." He'd seen her take a cut earlier, had felt something primal surge through him at the sight of her hurt. "Guess we're even now." An explosion rocked nearby. Lyrael helped him up, and together they rejoined the fray. But something had shifted. Her warriors noticed it too, the way their princess stayed close to the human. The way she moved to protect him even as he protected her. When the final Krathax ship retreated into orbit, Jake's confiscated cloak had been completely destroyed. He stood among the celebrating warriors, exhausted and half-naked, covered in soot and blood, both red and silver. Lyrael approached, still gripping her spear, blonde hair wild from battle. The setting sun cast her navy blue skin in shades of violet and gold. "You fought like a demon," she said quietly. For his ears only, "You fought like a goddess." He touched her cheek, and this time she leaned into his palm. "So what happens now, Princess?" Her free hand rested on his chest, right over his heart. "Now, I break about 1,000 years of tradition." Her voice dropped to a whisper. You are not a monster, Jake. You are magnificent. The royal springs glowed softly under Illyria's twin moons, steam rising like spirits into the cool night air. Lyra El had dismissed her guards, claiming she needed to cleanse herself after battle. Technically true. Just incomplete. Jake waited in the sacred pool, the warm mineral water soothing his bruised muscles. He'd cleaned up, but new scars would join his collection badges of honor from defending her world. She emerged from the mist like a dream, her armor discarded in favor of flowing silk that somehow revealed more by concealing. Her blonde hair hung loose around her shoulders, crystalline beads catching moonlight. Without the warrior's mask, she looked vulnerable, hopeful, terrified. "I've never done this," she admitted, standing at the pool's edge. "Been alone with someone who makes me feel like your skin's on fire?" Jake offered gently. "Like you can't catch your breath? Like nothing else matters except being closer?" "Yes." She slipped into the water, and Jake's breath caught at the sight of her, every curve, every elegant line of navy blue perfection. "The council offered you a place on Illyria, citizenship, honor, but I want to offer you something else." She moved through the water until barely a hand's breadth separated them. Near enough that he could feel her heat, smell the exotic flowers woven through her hair. "What's that?" His voice had gone rough. "Me." Her hands rose to his chest. Exploring freely now, learning the landscape of human masculinity, the hard plains. The scars, the way his breath quickened under her touch. "Teach me what you meant about pleasure. About connection. Show me what Illyrian males have failed to understand for centuries." Jake's hands found her waist, pulling her closer until their bodies aligned perfectly. "You sure? Because once we start this, Lyra El, I don't think I can stop wanting you." "Good." Her lips brushed his jaw. "Experimental. Because I've been staring at you since the moment you crashed into my life. I want to do more than stare. Then let me show you." He tilted her chin up, giving her every chance to retreat. "Slowly, perfectly, the way you deserve." Their first kiss was tentative, a question and answer, a treaty negotiated in soft sighs and exploring hands. But the second was deeper, desperate, as weeks of tension finally broke. Her fingers tangled in his hair, his hands mapped the dip of her spine, and the warm water lapped around them like a blessing. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Lyra El smiled not her warrior's smile, but something private and precious. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Not as a citizen of Illyria. As mine." Jake pressed his forehead to hers, their breath mingling in the steam. "Princess, I crashed on this planet completely bare and vulnerable. Seems fitting that you've seen everything I am and still want me. Always." She pulled him deeper into the glowing waters, into the warmth, into a future written in starlight and navy blue skin. The moons watched, and the springs kept their secrets. The end.